Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's talk about sacred cows. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube at the moment, you may be asking yourself, dang, Kale, you're looking pretty darn sharp tonight. And I will say, I just came back from date night with my wife, Liz. We went to a comedy show, and unfortunately, we left 2/3 of the way through it. There were 3 comedians. The first one was really, really bad. Hardly anything he said was funny, except for like maybe the last joke was kind of chuckle worthy, but everything else was like, why am I here? I'm wasting my life listening to this guy. But it could get better. And then the second guy came on, and he started out like really, really, really funny, like some legitimately, and then just randomly the entire direction of his routine shifted. And I'm sitting there again going, why am I here? And then at the intermission, we decided to leave because I didn't want to sit through another half hour, 45 minutes of the same type of comedy. It just wasn't very entertaining. It was more just crass and all that. I'm sure you're very interested in that whole thing. But yeah, so that's why I'm all dressed up. If you are listening to this, make sure you check out the YouTube channel at Kale Houser Leadership. And the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast is on there. And you can see the amazing suits that I'm wearing right now, if I do say so myself. All right. That being said, let's get to today's topic. I want to talk about sacred cows. Now, you may be wondering, because this may be a term that you are not familiar with. This is a term that I first heard in the military, and it is a term that I'm sure is used throughout many different industries and all kinds of different workplaces, because in short, it can be summed up as, we've always done it this way. If you find yourself saying that, or if you find yourself thinking that, or if you find yourself hearing that as an excuse as you try to bring innovation or some new idea or thought or new way of doing things to your workplace, and maybe a leader above you or a supervisor, manager, owner, whomever says to you, we've always done it this way, then that is a sacred cow. That is something similar to the days of old, the biblical times, when oh, shoot. I should have looked this up. But in the book of Old Testament, I forget which one now, that they started freaking out, the Israelites, as they were out there, they started freaking out, and they turned away from the God Almighty, and they made a little golden cow calf to worship. And that's kind of what it goes back to, is you have this thing, this idol that you worship as sacred, that it cannot be changed. It is, all knowing, all seeing. It's the way we've always done things. It's what's worked for us. It's what continues to work for us, and there's no need to change it. And it's our sacred cow. It's what we hold sacred in our organization. But usually it is with a negative implication to this sacred cow. You don't use it like, oh yeah, this is our sacred cow over here, this because it's working so well, and it's just so successful in bringing us so much, revenue and all the good positive things that are in business. Usually, no, it's the negative connotation of you're holding on to this thing, this sacred cow, despite all evidence, just like the Israelites, despite all evidence that no, you really should be looking and doing over here. There's something so much better and greater, better ways to do things, more innovative, more cutting edge, whatever the case may be for that thing. And that could be, processes that you've got in place, your marketing strategy, the clientele that you go after, the software that you use. We've always used this 8-bit IBM software. Like, okay, yeah, cool, that worked in 1982, but not so much in 2022. Does that make sense? But this comes a lot with, and the easiest way to think about this is a complete lack of innovation and creativity when it comes to your business. So if you are that person that is in charge, if you are the one making the decisions, if you are the one setting the tone for the culture in your workplace, and you find yourself, or somebody is bringing you ideas and alternate or different ways or new ways to do things, think about things, act on things, purchase stuff, buy stuff, spend money, whatever in your business, and you sit in there going, well, no, we've always done it this way. We've always used this software. We've always used that vendor. We've always treated our customers to this. We've always sent them these Christmas cards, blah, 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 blah. And we're not going to do that. I'm not going to entertain new ideas. That's just not who we are as a company. Okay. And I will say, you now have sacred cows. This is you. This is who I'm talking to, is you right now. Because when you have that lack of innovation, or you're shutting people down that are trying to innovate in all these different areas of your business to bring it up to speed, then you are lacking that creativity. And we all know, we've heard this before, where you are lacking in creativity, you are lacking in commitment. Where you are lacking in creativity, you are lacking in commitment. Are you committed to your business? Are you committed to the future of your business? Or are you solely committed to what you have right now and trying to protect it, right? My precious, I want to hold on to it. I don't want to risk anything. I just want to keep what I have. And that's what stops us from innovating. That's what stops us from being creative in how we approach our business. Whether it be hiring, whether it be training, whether it be, again, software, any of those types of things. New ways of doing stuff. Then you are no longer committed to the ultimate success or ongoing success and growth of your business. And this can a lot be attributed to, when you have these sacred cows, we've always done it this way. This is a lack of understanding of market changes. This is a lack of getting plugged in, whatever your industry is, whether it be the financial sector, whether it be an HVAC or a plumbing company or a car dealership, whatever, you have a lack of understanding of your industry and how it's innovating as a whole, as your industry is making progress with new technology, new software, new ideas, new markets. Maybe your market is expanding. But then you're also having a lack of understanding of your competition. Because while I can't guarantee it, I can guarantee you that if you've got a competitor in your town, community, county, state, and they're growing and they're starting to eat away at that market share that you used to have, they don't have very many sacred cows, or at least they're starting to learn how to get over them and be innovative, be creative in their approach of how they go out and do and get business. And if you are still holding on to, we send out our newsletter, every quarter to our customer base, and then you're ignoring LinkedIn campaigns, you're ignoring social media, you're ignoring whatever's working in your community that your competitors is doing and gaining traction with, then you have sacred cows. And you're lacking that creativity and commitment to innovate, to be relevant in your industry. And it's easy and, safe for the time being, safe in the moment, to ride that current success or those past successes. Because there is risk. Anytime you innovate, anytime you come up with a new software, anytime you come up with a new idea, there is risk inherent because it's an unknown factor. Will this work? How will this work? Can we integrate it into our current systems to make them better versus a hindrance? All those types of things, yes. But there will be, as the market, as society, as our economy starts to outpace your ability to meet the needs of that current culture at large, again, whether you're servicing people's air conditioners, fixing their cars, offering them financial planning advice and retirement accounts, whatever that is, as those cultures and thought processes change in your marketplace, and you're not adapting to meet those changes or getting even better ahead of those changes, or even better, next level, being the one driving those thought changes, driving that innovation, pulling people along with you instead of trying to catch up to those thought leaders and those innovators. How do you position yourself as the leader in your business, big or small, to be that thought leader? Because somebody's going to do it. Somebody is going to take that role by virtue of them getting after it or by virtue of literally no one else stepping up to do it. And it might as well be you. This is something that, if you haven't noticed, I'm trying to do in my industry of leadership consulting and training, of business training and development. I'm trying to get ahead of the curve and realize, yes, there are what I would consider kind of the old guard, the John Maxwells of the world, that what they have accomplished in their lifetime is nothing short of absolutely incredible, extraordinary, amazing. And how they think about and approach leadership, especially in a business sense, is unparalleled. But is it still applicable today? Is it still working in a society, especially the last couple of years as of 2022 that we're experiencing right now in our workforce? Same with Jocko Willink is another fantastic example. His approach to leadership and his extreme ownership kind of mentality, Navy SEAL, absolutely fascinating. Are you a Navy SEAL? Are your team made up of absolute top of their game high performers willing to lay down their life for the mission? Or are they made up of average, everyday people that have problems and maybe they don't feel like laying their life down for the mission because they're not called to that higher purpose? Maybe you're not a Navy SEAL. Maybe you're a guy or a gal that's struggling to get their business idea relevant and ongoing and actually making revenue and profit. And you've got the struggles of, how do I handle getting my employees to show up on time? How do I think of new ways to market in my industry? Not how do I kick down doors in Fallujah or treat battlefield wounds and gunshot wounds, like whatever other Navy SEAL stories. We're not going after, the number one terrorists in the world. I'm just trying to sell a couple extra of my products and services so I can put my kid through school or college, whatever the case may be. Now, as we've kind of digressed a little bit, that kind of leads me back to, what areas are you relying on past successes without thinking about, planning for, and ultimately executing new ways, methods, and ideas to stay relevant in your marketplace? We had a term in the military, and it was called a ROAD. It was retired on active duty, ROAD. And these are the guys and gals, typically guys, at least in my experience, that as they got within their year or so of hitting their 20-year mark, hitting their retirement, they essentially quit. Yes, they would show up. They would kind of put forth effort, but generally not. They would do enough to not really get into legitimate trouble. But even then, most commanders and uppers gave them passes of like, oh, whatever. They're out of here in 9 months anyway. They're out of here next year anyway. And I always was fascinated by that. I'm like, dude, you got a year left. Like, what? Like, you didn't retire yet. Like, how is this possible? But anyway, don't be that. Because those people, those road sergeants, those road colonels, as they got within their final window of retirement, and most of them started at that year prior to actually separating and retiring, they just kind of quit. They were riding only their past successes. Yeah, they deployed, they did these deployments. Yeah, they went to bat for their troops that were in trouble. They went to bat for more resources for their squadron. But now, like, it's not my problem anymore. I did all the things. Now I'm just waiting for my reward to get to retirement. And the problem with that thinking is that it's purely selfish, for one. You're no longer serving your community. You're no longer serving your industry, in this case, their military unit, and the people that are still going to be there as you go off and retire and enjoy that pension. But it doesn't serve them at all anymore either personally, because they quit on themselves. And don't be that. Don't be that person, that leader in your industry, in your office, in your warehouse, wherever that is for you, that quits. That quits on your organization, that quits on yourself by purely going back like, oh yeah, these things worked in the past. Even though you can kind of see the changes coming, the market is shifting, the economy is shifting, inflation is going crazy. What we've done in the past is just too expensive to do anymore, so we got to think of different ways to do it. Don't be that person in your organization. Be the one that starts pulling your team together. Be the one that starts pulling your resources and assets together and say, listen, this is the cliff that's coming. How do we adjust? How do we innovate? Is there some new technology that we can take advantage of? Some new processes, new vendors to meet those challenges? Or Are you the person that's sitting there like, no, this is my sacred cow, and you're sitting there and you're petting it and you're rubbing and you're shining it and you're looking at it always and referring back to it, right? Just getting obsessive with it. So it's time to give up those sacred cows. Your business will not survive if you hold on to them. And that is absolutely not what I want for your business. I want you to be successful. I want you to be the thought leader, the innovator, the one that everyone else in your industry looks to and says, how is Kale Houser Leadership approaching this problem? How is Kale Houser Leadership addressing this massive quiet quitting issue, this massive lack of employee engagement? Because that's what we're trying to do at Kale Houser Leadership. We're trying to get ahead of this curve and start thinking about what can we do differently to serve our clients that are in this position and having to deal with these, well, not necessarily new issues, more expanded and exasperated issues with our economy. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. If there's anything at all I can do for you, please hit me up at Kale Houser Leadership. Drop a DM, drop a comment, wherever it is that you're listening to this. I surely do appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you soon. No matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.